The wind carried the scent of damp soil and forgotten things. Somewhere beyond the endless stretch of dark pines, a single light flickered against the gray ribs of the horizon. The forest seemed to lean toward it, as if drawn by the faint pulse of that glow. The road to the abandoned village was nothing more than a thread of cracked earth. Nature had already taken back most of it. Trees bent low over the path, their branches clawing the air, as though warning travelers not to continue. Yet at the end of that dying trail stood a house, the only structure still intact among the ruins. Its walls leaned slightly, but its bones remained strong, stubbornly defying time. The windows were black, glassless holes, but inside, faintly, a trembling light persisted. That light came from a single black candle. The house had been empty for decades, or so everyone said. The villagers who once lived nearby had either vanished or died. They told stories in whispers about the plague, about the fire, about the family that refused to leave. No one remembered their names anymore, but the house did. It remembered everything. The front door hung open, as if expecting someone. The hinges creaked, not from the wind, but as though something had moved inside, just beyond sight. The air smelled faintly of melted wax and rust. The floorboards groaned under invisible weight. In the center of the room stood a small wooden table. Upon it, the black candle, burning with an unnatural steadiness. The flame didn't waver or dance. It just was. Silent, perfect, watching. The walls were lined with old photographs, browned and curling at the edges. Faces stared out of them, or rather, should have. The faces were smudged, erased, as though someone had scraped them away. Only outlines remained: a mother, a father, a child holding something, a candle, the same candle. The air thickened. The silence inside was absolute. Not even the wind dared to enter. Time itself seemed to hesitate within those walls. From the ceiling, dust drifted like ash. A faint thump echoed above, deliberate, slow, and heavy. Then another. The sound moved across the ceiling toward the stairs that led to the attic, but there was no one there. There hadn't been anyone in years. Still, the steps came, as if someone unseen was pacing back and forth, restless. The candle's flame tilted ever so slightly, casting long shadows that reached like hands across the room. The photographs on the walls seemed to shift. Their edges curled, their colors deepened. One of the photos had changed. The child was now smiling. Upstairs, a single window creaked open. The breeze that entered wasn't cold, it was stale, the kind that carried the scent of locked rooms and long, decayed memories. The attic door rattled once and then fell still. Every piece of furniture in the house bore the mark of someone's life: a cup on a table, a cracked mirror, a rocking chair with a faded quilt draped across it, all perfectly preserved as if waiting for the family to return. But the air told another story. The air whispered that they never left. On the far wall hung an antique clock, its pendulum frozen mid-swing. Yet faintly, impossibly, a ticking could be heard. Not from the clock, but from beneath the floor. The floors were warm, almost breathing. Somewhere deep inside, the house pulsed. If one could have listened closely, beneath the creaks and sighs of the rotting timber, there was something else, a faint rhythmic beat, like a slow, deliberate heartbeat echoing from within the walls. The candle flickered once. Then, for the first time, its flame bent toward the hallway. The corridor beyond was dark. At its end stood a door, slightly ajar. Something glistened there. A reflection, faint but unmistakable. It was another candle. Identical. As if mirrored, each flicker in the first was echoed by the second. The light between them seemed alive, breathing in unison. But then, the second candle went out. Instantly. And in that moment of darkness, the house changed. The air thickened, heavy as water. The scent of wax grew stronger. On the walls, the photographs no longer showed faceless figures. Their features had returned. Eyes, mouths, expressions of terror frozen mid-scream. And in every photo, the black candle appeared again, always burning, always held by someone new. The realization crept through like ice. Every person who had entered the house had become a photograph. The flame flared high. Wax dripped in perfect circles on the table, forming a spiral pattern. The shape was old, ritualistic, resembling an eye curling inward. The heartbeat within the walls quickened, the shadows pulsed. The spiral of wax began to rotate, impossibly against the grain of the table. From the cracks in the floor, black liquid seeped upward, thicker than wax, darker than tar. It pooled beneath the table, spreading outward, reflecting the trembling light like an oily mirror. And within that reflection, something moved. A shape, indistinct at first, took form. A face, forming out of shadow and wax. Hollow eyes, a mouth half-formed, whispering soundlessly. Its expression was neither pain nor peace, only remembrance. The house trembled. The ceiling groaned as though burdened by centuries of weight. The candle's flame stretched upward, impossibly tall, licking the ceiling beams before collapsing back into itself. Then silence. Outside, the forest was still. The moon had risen higher, its light sickly and pale. No sound of crickets, no rustle of leaves. When the first faint light of dawn broke across the hills, the house appeared unchanged. The doors still open, the air motionless, the candle extinguished. But there was something new. On the wall, above the table, hung a fresh photograph. A figure stood in the same room holding the same black candle. Its face was clear, detailed. Someone unfamiliar, someone recent. And though no one had entered the house that night, the figure was real. In the photograph, its eyes were open, its expression blank, but its shadow stretched long and wrong, reaching across the frame toward the edges of the photo, as if it trying to escape. The villagers found it days later. They didn't remember who the stranger was or why they had come, but they all swore that the candle was burning when they first saw the house. When they returned the next morning, the photo had changed again. The figure was gone. Only the candle remained, floating in the empty room. And on the bottom corner of the frame, freshly etched into the glass, were words written in wax. The house remembers.